Blake Bortles in the regular season this year, his highest QBR, highest completion percentage, and fewest interceptions of his entire career. Pretty impressive, even more impressive. In the playoffs, he is averaging 8.2 yards per carry. That is the most in the NFL. Our Jeff Darlington knows him well, was in Jacksonville all week, and is live with the latest now from New England. Jeff?
Well, Sam, first of all, some good news for the Jaguars on the injury front. I am told that safety Tayshaun Gibson will be active for this game. He's been dealing with a foot injury that held him out of 2 practices, but this secondary definitely needs him. He's a ball-hawking safety. He'll be critical. I just spoke to General Manager Dave Caldwell, said the mood of the team has been great, very relaxed, very confident as they got to the stadium. One of those guys who's been confident is Blake Bortles. Now, he's had an interesting year, a little bit inconsistent at times. He's got 5 games with a passer rating above 115, but also 5 games with a passer rating below 70. But the one thing that has not really strayed at all, the one thing that has been very consistent, has been the support that he is getting from his locker room.
On the eve of a November game against the Bengals, Jaguars coach Doug Marrone gathered his team to address a league-wide perception about their quarterback.
Coach talked about it. You know how guys don't respect Blake and they say things about him. So he put up all the posts where people tweeting things, or whether it's an article where guys were saying things about Blake, just showed us what the team doesn't respect us and doesn't respect our guys. So we got to go out there and defend them.
Obviously, it riled everyone up, gets us mad, gets us stirred up. You know, it lets us sit all night, and then we come out like a bunch of, scolded dogs, pissed off, and we just go.
Proving Bortles' critics wrong has since turned into a rallying cry. This is what they think of your quarterback.
That was a subpar quarterback.
It's embarrassing, trash.
Every day there's a tweeting defensive player who just played against him who says, "I hate Bortles, he's a bum."
When Blake's been called out all year, it's one of those things that we don't take that sitting down, and he's the type of person, he's not going to retaliate, but I would, so I said something for him.
Today, he's a dog. I want to know what Jarrell Casey has to say about him choking in big moments, while you sit at home and watch us next week.
He's never like, man, you can't believe what the they just said. No, he don't care.
He truly does not care.
Doesn't care. It bothers me a little bit because that's my quarterback, and as an O-line, I know that it bothers the O-line.
His teammates aren't the only ones defending Bortles. One fan took to supporting his team's QB in another way, creating the now viral Twitter account, Blake Bortles Facts.
Blake Bortles has never lost a playoff game. Blake Bortles has now defeated the Buffalo Bills on 2 continents. Blake Bortles and Tom Brady have combined for 5 Super Bowl wins, 13 Pro Bowls, and 2 NFL MVP awards. The account started in 2015 when my friend and I were just so tired of watching such awful football on the field that we needed something to laugh about. So these were jokes that we would tell each other during the game. Blake Bortles has never lost in the NBA Finals, the World Series, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. Blake Bortles has thrown 103 touchdown passes to a combined 10 NFL teams. The account has evolved into showing the world that Blake Bortles is not the worst quarterback in the NFL. Blake doesn't get enough respect. The most common tweet that I would get this year was about all the pick sixes that Blake threw. Blake didn't throw a pick six this year until week 16 at San Francisco.
Bortles' 2017 season, which includes 5 games with a passer rating above 115, has not been enough to win over critics like former quarterback Chris Sims, who's been one of his biggest detractors.
And the more I look at all the quarterbacks in the NFL, I'm not so sure he might be a few spots lower than 70, but we'll keep him at 70 for now.
All right. I'd like to clarify this for the record, okay? I have nothing personal against Blake Bortles, and I know it's not like the most flattering thing to say in the world, but as a quarterback, I think he's around 70.
Sims comments that Bortles is the 70th best quarterback in the NFL got the attention of the Dan Le Batard show.
So, of course, I guess they heard me make this comment, and Stugatz, being Stugatz, said, "Oh, I wonder who he's got at number 69.
Ridiculous, absurd. Chris Sims. Who is Chris Sims? He's a gas bag. What is he talking about? Chris Sims was a mediocre quarterback at best. Blake Bortles is better than Chris Sims ever will be."
Since then, Sims calls in each day to count down the 69 quarterbacks he thinks are better than Bortles.
So 69, I'd probably go with Austin Davis, the backup quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
And then 71, I'm going to go Cody Kessler of the Cleveland Browns.
Chris Sims is not alone on this, but he is the leader, and he is the face, and he is the voice of criticizing Blake Bortles.
He doesn't get the respect, and will he ever? I don't know. I hope he does, but he doesn't care about that.
Blake drops the throw. Myers, the ball is going to be caught. Touchdown Jacksonville. They are in the end zone.
Sunday will provide the ultimate test for a quarterback teetering on the seesaw of NFL respectability. For now, it's clear everyone has an opinion.
Blake, I got your back.
Ignore the haters. Go beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. Then go win the Super Bowl. Hold up the trophy. And then when you're done with that, take the trophy and slam it over Chris Sims' head.
If Blake Bortles wins the Super Bowl, then he can say as many four-letter words as he wants about me. I'm rooting for you, Blake. This is not personal. I'm sorry.
So all the Blake Bortles haters out there, there's only 2 quarterbacks left in the AFC that are playing to go to the Super Bowl this weekend, and Blake Bortles is one of them.
What would I say to the haters? Y'all.
Boom.
Oh, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, you're shooting birds.
How
Here
about
you
this?
go.
Speaking of Blake
Duck hunting
Bortles
season.
facts, I've got one for you. Blake Bortles is 4-0 against Super Bowl winning quarterbacks this season.
That's
the big question,
that's a real
of course.
stat.
Yes, it is.
Pretty good.
The big question, of course, is whether or not he can make that 5-0 today. Rex, do you think, just from a narrative perspective, from what we just saw in that and what we've talked about in the past, could a win today change the entire Blake Bortles narrative?
Well, I think it would certainly help. When you look at this, if you beat Tom Brady, it doesn't happen. When you look at these situations, how many guys have actually, gone into Gillette Stadium, beat, Tom Brady? I get it. Joe Flacco has a couple of times. And I think people looked at Joe Flacco differently. So Blake Bortles, look, there's a reason why he was, the 3rd overall pick when he came out? The guy's got talent. But he just made some, bonehead moves, and he couldn't get any wins. Well, this year he's getting wins. And you know what? He's a better quarterback when everybody doubts him. Well, today, nobody believes in Blake Bortles except himself and his teammates. And you know what? I'm not a huge believer in Blake Bortles, but my gosh, get it done. Lean on your defense and go get it.
Yeah, well, I think that this will be, big for Blake Bortles. And the reason why, you were talking about arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history being in his home turf, and Blake Bortles being there to go into Foxborough and come out with a victory. But I think it's going to be Blake Bortles is going to have to do a little bit more. We all know about the offensive line, no Pro Bowlers. We all know about Leonard Fournette. So those are the guys or the positions that's getting a lot of love. I think Blake Bortles is going to have to come in here, be efficient, throw the ball. But Matt, you just alluded to, I think last week, where he needed to hit those easy throws. I think last week I put a slant on there where he had to hit. Well, guess what? Championship Sunday, the Patriots defense, very stingy, very underrated. So he's going to have to fit some tight throws in there, but he's going to have to move the ball down the field with his arm. We already know what the run game stands for. In order for Blake Bortles to get over that hump, for people to start putting him in another category, and I didn't say elite, put him in another category than where he is right now, he's going to have to get in there and move the ball down the field and throw a touchdown or two today.
Rex, I want to go back to something you were saying, because I know it sounds a little ridiculous to talk about how you game plan for Blake Bortles and what he does, but when you look at the way this guy's running the ball in the playoffs, 8.2 yards per carry. I mean, do you spy the guy? What do you do to keep him from running as well as he has?
Well, Matt Patricia is going to blow the dust off last week's game plan, because he's going to do the exact same thing against Blake Bortles. He's always going to have a spy on him. So here it looks like a 3-man rush, but you can see where clearly 53 of the linebackers sit back in there and he's spying. He's not going to let this guy beat him, because New England wants to play their 2-man and 2-zone coverage. They want to play, all their type of multiple coverages. To do it, you better spy the quarterback, especially in 2-man coverage when all their backs are turned. So you got to get them down, be creative. This is exactly what you're going to see Matt Patricia do, the same plan. Don't let Blake Bortles beat you with his legs and force him to throw the ball down the field. We're going to find out what kind of quarterback Blake Bortles is as a throwing quarterback and not get beat, with him running.
Well, and those are passing formations. In Jacksonville, if you're Nate Hackett, the offensive coordinator, you don't want to be in these passing formations. You want to be in run formations where you're either running the ball downhill, Leonard Fournette, or play action. And you've seen Leonard Fournette. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been watching film on Fournette this week. I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that good. But the guy who we talk a lot about Fournette, the guy who gets no credit is the fullback, right? Tommy Bohannon. He's been doing it all year. This guy was pouring concrete for his family's business last season. This year, he's in the championship game for Leonard Fournette blocking for him. But watch this play. This is the old H2 Buck play. Lead on the middle linebacker closes his eyes. They pull it out when they need it. And Nate Hackett, I mentioned it, he pulled this from the archives. That's Bill Walsh in Palo Alto. This is Steve Stenstrom throwing to Xaverian Brothers High School of Wellesley, Mass. Greg Camella right down the pipe. We've seen Montana hit this play. We've seen Young hit this play. We've seen Favre hit this play. This is a West Coast staple. This one here was a big game, the Packers versus the 49ers. What this does is it loosens up those linebackers, and they don't want to take on those lead plays. Nice hurdle by William Henderson out of UNC, but they don't want to take on those lead plays the same way. Now all of a sudden you got to stop Leonard Fournette. You have to stop the play action game that you see right there and this play action stuff. This does help Blake Bortles. Every little bit where they show it on tape, it helps him. And he's had a roller coaster year, yes, but there's been games where he's played lights out. They beat the Ravens 44-7. He went toe-to-toe with the Seattle Seahawks and actually played an amazing game that week. So this is not going to be a blowout necessarily. This is going to be a tight game, and really, quite honestly, it's set up as a tough matchup for the Patriots.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Tommy Bohannon. We actually drafted him. John Idzik found him. It was one of our, best draft picks. We had 5 rookies start. That was one of them, and I'm sure he was instrumental in getting them to Jacksonville. So credit to John Idzik. But when I look at it, what I'm excited about is they are really good. Bortles is really good in the red zone.
Yep.
When you're down there. So he becomes a different quarterback, and that, to me, is the toughest area to throw the football. So if he can have success there, build it over. We all know he's got the ability. Now go out and do it.
Well, for me, I know I said, earlier in the show that it's about, Jacksonville, being able to run the ball with Fournette and the New England Patriots stacking the box and, it not mattering against Jacksonville because their line is playing so well. But I still think it's about making Blake Bortles beat you. The Patriots are going to stack that box, stop the run. He's the most important guy on that Jacksonville team. And see what Blake Bortles can do. Look, if he doesn't turn the ball over, of course their chances go up. I think they're undefeated, when he's not turning the ball over. So, but you got to see what he can do today. This is championship weekend. This is different than the wild card weekend. This is different than last weekend. Let's see if he can continue that streak against, Patricia and that defense and a team that's always known to take away what you do best. So it'll be interesting to see how Blake comes out and plays today. And, they're all upset about people talking about Blake Bortles, but people are just talking about what they see and what they've seen all season long. So he's done great. First 2 playoff games. We'll give him his credit for sure. Let's see what he does today, Championship Sunday.
I think he takes some shots. I think he takes some shots today.
Why not?
You're
He did
see
last
a guy
week.
You haven't seen.
It worked.
We've heard from people within the Jags organization that it's all about confidence for him and whether or not he's able to play with confidence on the road at Gillette for the championship.
I think that confidence comes from that defense. More than anything else.
Yeah, but that's not the question. We're going to get to the defense later because they gave up, 42 points last week? So there are some questions there also.
Still didn't lose confidence. Don't matter.